Hello, and welcome to Beyond Books, where we talk about books and always go beyond. I'm your host. I'm Renee. It's Tag Tuesday. Let's get going with a tag that I got from Ellen Made Book Club. And this tag is called the Don't Forget About Me tag. And I guess it looks like this was originally created by Jolene at Bookworm Adventure Girl. I'll put a link below. And it was inspired by a video by Brian at Bookish Texan. So check out those channels if you haven't. I'll also put a link to the Ellen Made Book Club, Ellen's channel as well. So here are the prompts, and what the instructions say is that you can choose as many books as you'd like for each prompt. So the first one is clean slates. And so it's to talk about books you've read that you don't remember anything about. So let's see. What I would say for that is that in general, I think, I remember less about the books I listen to on audiobook than I do the books that I've actually read. I think the reason is that while you're listening, you can be doing something else, and sometimes the story doesn't quite etch itself into your brain, as much as when you're just sitting and reading a physical book or something from a Kindle. And so with that being said, I actually have a spreadsheet which includes pretty much everything that I've read from 2017 on. And I also, can look at my old Goodreads account, look through my orders on Amazon for Kindle, and also look at my old Audible account, and I could probably find titles that I remember absolutely nothing about. But just briefly going through the spreadsheet, I was a little surprised to find a couple of these titles, so I'll talk about these. First, apparently, in 2017, I read Ford County Stories by John Grisham. And I really don't remember reading that book. If you asked me, Renee, have you read that? I probably would have said no before I looked at that spreadsheet. Now, I didn't note whether that was an audio or a physical book or Kindle book or whatever, but I just really don't remember it. So that kind of surprises me because I like Grisham and I feel like I generally remember everything I've read by him. There's a book called Don't Blink that's on my list from 2019. It's by James Paterson, and I must not remember that one either. Because the other day, actually, a neighbor asked me if I had ever read that one, and I said no, that I hadn't. So I'm also going to say that if you read a lot of one author's work, then it's sometimes difficult to distinguish one title from another, and it's easy to forget which ones you've already read as opposed to the ones that you may not have. Some have the same characters, and that, just kind of tends to make it even more difficult. And so for me, those authors would be like Patricia Cornwell, John Grisham, James Paterson, and I probably would add Stephen King to that list because even though I haven't read a whole lot of his work, there's just so many, and he does tend to repeat characters. So prompt number 2 is called Genie's Lamp, Books You Wish You Could Forget. So for that, I'm going to talk about 2 books. They came to mind for me just about right off the bat. One is called The Wife by Alistair Burke, Burke. And now this book I listened to it on audio. I do remember listening to it quite vividly. It starts out slow, and you kind of aren't sure where it's going to be going. But then the woman, who is the wife, retells her story of being kidnapped and sexually assaulted, and how she survived it. And we come to find out in the story that she is just so much stronger, craftier, and cunning, really, than she first appears. It's actually a very amazing story, but it's also very haunting, for those reasons. The other story that I thought of, the other book, is Tampa. That's what it's called. The author is Alissa Nutting, Nutting. This one I also listened to on audiobook, and I just can't unlisten to it, It's about a young teacher who is married, but she has a sexual interest in her underage male students. And so each school year, she picks out one to prey upon sexually. And it's a pretty twisted story. It's actually based on an actual event that happened in, wait for it, you guessed it, Florida. It's a disturbing story, to be sure. I can't say it isn't interesting or unforgettable. It's both those things. But it also haunts me sometimes. And I can't even believe that I'm admitting to having read it. So, next question. Forgotten gems. So, books you think need more love. Oh, let's see. So, I don't know. Because if they're forgotten gems, they're really not coming to mind very much. So I was a little confused about what I was going to say about this. But I guess bottom line is this. This is how I looked at it. It really depends, first of all, of course, what you like. And I think that you could take almost any genre and just flip through some of the books in it, be it online or, in a good bookstore that has everything laid out nicely by genre. And you could find titles from authors that you love, that you somehow skipped, or just didn't know about. So really, besides the hype of a new book coming out, I know that I just like going to yard sales, library sales, the Goodwill, whatever, and just kind of opening myself up to what's there. Because it's not only the fact that the price is right, but for $2 or $3 or $1, you're much more willing to take a chance than if you're buying a brand new book that might be, say, more like, between $20 and $30 or more sometimes. So, it just kind of depends on what you're open to, and you can find those forgotten gems. I think that's a good way to do it. So, in that situation, I've, like I say, been pleasantly surprised by what I've read and enjoyed. And if you end up DNFing, well, no big deal. So now we have, for the final prompt, forget-me-nots. So that's books you will always remember. Rather than going back years and years and years and years and years, even though I'm sure throughout the years I've read a lot of books that, I'll always remember, as well as many I've forgotten. I thought I'd just kind of go back over the year so far and just choose the ones that I feel have been the most unforgettable to me so far. And so I came up with 10 out of my bookshelf of the books I've read so far this year. So one is Bridge to Terabithia by Katerine Paterson. I just really loved the themes in this book. Thought they were very universal. I just loved the play of questioning and belief between the two characters, the two main characters, and their interaction with each other, and just kind of how they open themselves to each other. You know, it has a lot of qualities to it that I won't forget. Enemies in the Orchard by Dana Vanderlugt. Kind of along the same vein. Two characters that, you know, you're really not sure how they got thrown together, but they did, and they're just open and accepting of each other despite their differences, and it turns out to be a good thing. So this is a really good book that I would call this a forgotten or a hidden gem that's come out fairly recently. I think it's a pretty new book, and yeah, I highly recommend this one. I think it's an interesting read. Little Bee by Chris Cleave. I really like Little Bee's positivity. No matter what happens, she finds the positive spin to it, and I really appreciated her for that. So I think about her sometimes. To Kill a Mockingbird, Harper Lee. Such beautiful writing, and just the cast of characters, unforgettable. Love Atticus Finch. What a great character. 1984 by George Orwell. A little bit haunting maybe, but good. A classic. You know, it is something that you don't like forget soon, and it pops into your mind sometimes when something happens in a certain way. It'll remind you of something that happens in 1984. The Women by Krista and Hannah. Just a very good story, and the things that the characters go through. I remember that time in our history, and the good and the bad of it, really. So I think it's depicted well in this book, even though it's a work of fiction. It's good. I know a lot of people are enjoying that one. That just came out, like, I think in February or March. Push by Sapphire. You could almost put this, I could probably put this in the category of those that I can't unread. The Genie's Lamp, because it does have some qualities that are very haunting. You definitely feel bad for the main character, but the story is just written in such an original way, and unfortunately, you know that there's people that these things actually happen to, and so just, you know, having that in the back of your mind, it just makes the book incredible. So Precious is a character that you won't forget quickly. And I would put one more in the category, Killers of the Flower Moon by David Grann. This is nonfiction, but yeah, pretty amazing what people will do to their fellow man, even to their own families, when it comes to greed. So yeah, it's good. Very well written, very well done. So that is the Don't Forget About Me tag. So I thank you all for watching. If you enjoy my content, please like, subscribe, comment, give me a thumbs up, and I will see you later this week in my next video. Have a good one.